So, welcome students. We are discussing about the second unit, electrochemical cells and corrosion. The second part, that is the batteries. So, we will be discussing about the what are batteries, what are the batteries, and how many types of batteries are there. First, we will be discussing the basic part of batteries, and then we will be discussing about the there are basically two types of batteries. Two types. The first one is called as the primary battery. In our discussion slowly we will be coming out all these types of batteries, and second one is called as the secondary battery. So for the primary battery, we have the onset dry cell. We will be discussing about the construction, working and uses, and if at all any disadvantages, that also we will be discussing. We have to discuss dry cell. This is an example of primary battery, and remaining four batteries come under secondary batteries. So the second one is the nickel cadmium battery, a nickel cadmium cell we simply call it as. The third one is nickel metal hydride cell. The fourth one is lithium ion battery, and the fifth one is zinc air battery or zinc air cell. So total 5 batteries we are going to discuss today, and later we will be discussing about a new era in the scientific development in today's world, that is the fuel cells. So in these fuel cells we will discuss what are fuel cells and discuss 4 types of fuel cells. First one is H2O2 fuel cell, the second one methanol oxide fuel cell, the third one is phosphoric acid fuel cell, and fourth one is molten carbonate fuel cell. So total 4 fuel cells, and here we have 5 batteries. So 4 fuel cells and 5 batteries. So total 5 plus 4, we are going to discuss about 9 topics now. So 9 topics we are going to discuss. In general, if you are preparing for any examination, out of these 9 questions, you will get minimum 2 questions in your question paper. So they are both important for your day-to-day life and also for examination point of view. So now we shall go for what are batteries. I think you recognize these. So these are called as button cells because they look like a button of the shirt. So they are called as button cells. So you can see very clearly here lithium battery. This is an example of button cell, and also a lithium battery. For its appearance it is like button, so we call it as button cell. And you can see these batteries. Yes, where do you find these types of batteries? Where are you going to use? So this we will be using in your clocks, right? And this one you will be finding in toys, particularly in toys. And all these batteries, some of them are rechargeable and some are non-rechargeable. For example, this is the use and throw battery, that is dry cell, and this is lithium cell. All these are rechargeable batteries. So this is not rechargeable. Sometimes you have to use it. Alkaline battery. This is an example of alkaline battery, non-rechargeable battery. So these all are the examples of some of the examples of batteries. And the next one, this battery, I think you are more familiar than other batteries. So where do you find this? I have shown you that this will be used in your mobile phones. So this is very clearly, it is written here, lithium ion battery. Li means lithium ion battery. So this is this changed the world tremendously. Previously they will be using only these conventional batteries. These conventional batteries will not be giving us more voltage. Their voltage capacity was only 1.1 volt. After this advent of this lithium ion battery, the voltage increased to 3.3 volt, which is enough to run the electronic gadgets having higher utility of the power. So that is why this battery has been introduced for our syllabus. And this is the cross section of this battery. We will be discussing in our next slides about how this battery is being charged, what are the reactions taking place while charging a battery of your cell phone, for example. Instead of saying the battery always, I am using cell phone. So while cell phone is being charged, what is happening here and what is happening while discharging? If you see, when your cell phone is being charged, it gets heated. Why? That is the reason also we will find now, right? So we will go for our topic, battery. I think this battery you are very much familiar, Duracell Ultra. This is used in our wall clocks, right? So first, what is a battery? Clearly the point is very simple, chemical energy into current. Yesterday also we have discussed electrochemical cells are the materials which convert the chemical energy directly into electrical energy. How? By means of an electrochemical redox reaction. That is why we are calling it as electrochemical cells. By means of an electrochemical redox reaction, chemical energy is directly converted into electrical energy, right? So at that device which converts this is called as a battery. So example, here I showed you some battery, right? This is a primary battery. Batteries are basically, I told you that they are classified into two types. First one is the primary battery, second one is secondary battery. So we will see in brief what is primary battery. So what I am showing here, all these are primary batteries. Means if once you use, you can't use it again. They are non-reusable. So a primary battery is a cell in which the cell reaction is not reversible. Why can't we use it, sir? In cell phone, the battery, once it is discharged, the charging is completed, we are again recharging it. But in these batteries, if once they have been completely discharged, if you put in the same system of electricity and try to recharge it, what happens? What happens? There happens nothing. Nothing happens there. It simply heats up and burns because it contains carbon. What happens here is because the cell reaction is only unidirectional. It is only forward reaction is favorable, but backward reaction is not at all favorable. Such type of batteries in which the cell reactions are not reversible. Simply we can call them as irreversible. Irreversible. Such type of cells are called as primary batteries. So it implies you should be very clear at this point. Once the chemical reaction takes place, to release the current, the cell gets exhausted. Exhausted means completely out of reactants. If there are no reactants, you can't expect any reaction. If there is no reaction, there is no current. That's all. So if once they are completely exhausted, then you should throw. So they are called as use and throw batteries. So example is the dry cell. This is an example of dry cell. So dry cell and Lachlan cell. This is a Lachlan cell. All these are batteries. Previously they were only used until the advent of the secondary batteries. So we will go for the secondary battery here. So this is the secondary battery. The name itself indicates that primary battery cannot be recharged. Its reaction is irreversible. But in case of secondary battery, the cell reaction is reversible. That is a major difference. So this is our cell phone battery, LG. This is a Panasonic battery, cadmium battery, nickel cadmium battery, NiCd battery. You have to study about the reactions which are taking place in this battery also. So why are these batteries reversible? Because their cell reactions are reversible. So if once they are exhausted, we are not going to throw the batteries away, but we are going to recharge them by supplying electricity in the form of AC voltage. So they are rechargeable. So they are very important. They became one of the important parts of our life because of the nature of the reversibility. If they are irreversible, we have to throw away. It increases the pollution. But if it is reversible, we are going to use it again and again. So they can be recharged. Therefore, they are very much helpful for us. So example, nickel cadmium battery, this one, and lithium ion battery, this one. So this is lithium ion battery, nickel cadmium battery. So these are the secondary batteries. So out of these two batteries, primary batteries and secondary batteries, which one is more useful? Means secondary battery is very important for us. So now we will go to our syllabus. We have to discuss about 5 batteries, right? The first one is the dry cell. This diagram you have been seeing since your intermediate. This is the cross section of dry cell. Dry cell means, here I showed you previously, this is the dry cell. Whatever may be the company, sometimes they write as Duracell, sometimes they write Nippo, and sometimes we have the companies Eveready. Different types of primary batteries are there, but in our syllabus we have to discuss about the construction and working of dry cell. So what is the basic chemistry in this? Right? So we will be discussing in brief now and in detail in the next slide. So see here, the center one, we have a carbon rod. This acts as an electrode. Carbon rod acts as an electrode, this one. Next one, it is surrounded by a zinc can. The red color here is the zinc can. It is one of the electrodes. So I always told you zinc acts as anode and carbon acts as cathode. If you don't know what is anode and anode, you should review the previous lecture. So simply you can write electrode in the examination point of view. Electrode means either cathode or anode, right? And they are separated by a porous separator, a small porous separator just like a cover. And between these two, the carbon rod and this one, we have a paste of manganese oxide, ammonium chloride, zinc chloride. Remember this composition. I want all of you to remember this point, because this is going to act as the reactant but not carbon. Carbon is just here to supply the electrons. That's all. To close the circuit, we are using carbon. If Basaraj said it is a cathode, but you are saying it is not going to act anything, means it is not chemically inert but not electrically inert. It is graphite rod. I will show you slowly. So the major ingredient is manganese oxide, plus we are adding a little amount of ammonium chloride and zinc chloride and small amount of water. So how can this water retain there? If you keep the batteries for a long time in the wall clock, you can see clearly that a little amount of liquid is coming out of the battery, oozing out. So once the battery oozes out, generally previously they used to throw them out, now we are also throwing them out. But that oozing of liquid is because of this amount of water what is being added to make it all these 4 components and make them into a paste. So if you break open a battery, you will find this white color paste here. That white color paste is nothing but a mixture of ammonium chloride, zinc chloride and water. So what are these going to play? This is what I discussed in today's class. And these two are separated by an insulator, because if they directly touch each other, what happens? Current passes from inside only. External circuit will not work. So we cover it with an insulator, right? So by a bottom cover and this is the top cover. That's all. Right? This is the brief of structure to remember the dry cell. Now we shall see in detail how to write it. So this is what I was talking about. This is the can, outer can. So try to open up a dry cell. It doesn't it costs just not more than 10 rupees. So open the battery. So you find this can, zinc can. This is the zinc can. Remove this color. That color if you remove, you will find this is the zinc can. Right? So you open it up, you will find this one. This is our carbon rod. In between these two, you can see here clearly some black color powder and white color paste is there. That black color powder is MnO2. MnO2 is black in color. This black color powder you will find a lot there. And a paste, white color paste. If you touch it and keep it in your mouth, it tastes something more like soapy. So it is slippery to touch, to be true. But it is acidic in character because of presence of chlorine there. So no problem. So this is the zinc can, and here we have the manganese oxide, and this is the carbon rod. These are the main ingredients of our dry cell. So we are having a cross section. This we generally don't see it, but if you do it clearly, open the battery, you will find these things inside it. So now I am saying it as, it is an example of modified Leclanche cell. So that is dry cell. So it consists of a cylindrical zinc container. So what is the shape of this? Cylindrical zinc container that acts as anode. I always told you zinc acts as anode. That's all, simple. Zinc anode. Next, what is the electrolyte inside it? Inside it, what is there? Ammonium chloride, zinc chloride, manganese oxide, and a little amount of water, and starch also is added, a little amount, because to make it as a thick paste. So it is filled inside the container. So inside the container we have the manganese oxide, ammonium chloride, zinc chloride, and a little amount of starch and water are added to make into a thick paste. Next one, the graphite rod, it has a brass cap here. So even here I showed you there. See clearly there is some cap here on the rod. What is the use of the cap? If there is no cap to that rod, what happens? Carbon is exposed to atmosphere and carbon reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide and the battery becomes dead. That is the reason we should cap this carbon rod. So there should be a cap for the carbon rod. That cap is made up of brass but not iron. If it is iron, again it may rust. So we use brass cap. So brass. So this brass cap serves as the anode, right? And it is placed in the center of the cell. So you can see in this first diagram I have showed you clearly. This is the carbon rod, and here we have the brass cap, and it is placed in the center of the zinc container. If you understand the diagram clearly, it is very simple for you to represent it by writing. Try to understand the diagram, accustom to the diagram, and if you are clear with the parts and how the positions are there, you can clearly write the answer. Right? Next, the cylinder is sealed at the top with a pitch. So a cork will be there. You can see it when you open it. A white color cork will be there, and it's for that a small hole is made. Why did they use a small hole? Because it allows the gases which are formed by chemical reactions. So previously the batteries were of the large sizes. I showed you in the starting slides. They are of big sizes. For transistor radios and all these things, you don't have a pencil cell or a button cell in the beginnings, in the 1980s and 90s. Only after 2000 we get the button cells, and then we have got the pencil battery, right? We are also using all the, in clocks also now big batteries we are not using, we are just using the pencil battery. We call it as pencil because the size of the pencil size. So in that case, what happens when excess amount of water is there, it should be escaped, and it also should, all the gases which are formed in the reaction should be escaping out. So for the which a small hole is made. So now what are the reactions taking place? I told these reactions are irreversible. That is very, very important. So this is a primary battery. Primary battery means irreversible reactions. If once the reaction is completed, we have to just throw the battery outside. That's all. We can't recharge it again. What is the reason behind it? So look here carefully at the reactions. Zinc gives the electrons to chlorine. So Zn forms Zn plus 2. These two electrons are left. So the part of the battery which is giving the electrons is called as anode. So anode at zinc, it gave 2 electrons and formed Zn plus 2. Immediately there is Cl minus, it reacts with this one and forms ZnCl2. So here minus 2 plus 2, this is neutral molecule. If you see the paste also contains ZnCl2. Remember that point. And this is not a problem. Now if you see that anode, we have the MnO2. I said a little amount of water is also present there to make the paste. So when it is used in the circuit, we get the electrons, and MnO2 is converted to Mn2O3, which is a very stable compound and it cannot be reversed. Along with it, we get two OH minus ions. So that is alkaline battery. The other name for dry cell is alkaline battery. So overall reaction, if you see here, zinc plus 2MnO2 plus H2O plus 2Cl minus gives rise to ZnCl2, Mn2O3 and 2OH minus. So I have added all this, both of them, anode reaction, cathode reaction, we got the overall reaction. That's finished. Now what happens to these ions? Ions should not be there, always there should be compounds. Ions are unstable, we should not write the ions in the reaction. But these ions, they start the secondary reactions or side reactions. What are the side reactions? We have added a paste of, if you remember clearly, I showed you previously also and again I am showing you. Along with MnO2, we have added a paste of ammonium chloride, ZnCl2, NH4Cl2, H2O and a little amount of starch. So NH4Cl means NH4 plus Cl minus. This Cl minus attacked the zinc. So now we are left with the NH4 plus. Now this NH4 plus, they starts the reaction here. NH4 plus OH minus. Here we got the OH minus. We got the NH4 plus minus plus. Both of them react to form ammonia, and here again we get some water. So water which is absorbed in this reaction is regenerated. That is the reason why we need not always open the battery and pour some water there. Should we pour the water in the battery? No need. The water itself is regenerated in the side reactions. So the water here, we have added a little amount of water in the reaction at the beginning. So in the manufacturing, they prepare the paste. Are we going to add again and again water into the battery? Never. Why? Because the water which is consumed here is regenerated here in the side reactions. And along with it we got the gas. Ammonia is a foul smelling gas. That is the reason why the batteries give a very bad smell. If you try to open the battery, you will get a strong foul smelling. That smell is because of presence of ammonia. So in order to escape this ammonia only, we are having some holes at the pitch. This ZnCl2, I told you in the paste it is there. So ZnCl2 reacts immediately with ammonia to form a complex. So ammonia also we need not escape. Everything will be retained in the battery itself, right? So this is the reactions. These are all the electrode reactions and very important to be remembered, and they should be recollected again and again so that you can write them easily. So here this one, ZnNH3Cl2 is a complex salt. So this complex will not break up. Therefore all the ammonia gas is retained, right? So these are the reactions taking place. Now the dry cell is a primary battery, I said. So if there is reactions, are these reactions what we have discussed here, are they reversible? Never. Why? Because water what is used here we have regenerated. The OH minus what we have got in the reaction, they are consumed by this ammonia. And here ammonia what is produced in this is being utilized to form a complex which is very stable. So all the reactions have been completed. There is a reaction and the reactions are irreversible. Since they are irreversible, we are calling it as a primary battery. So it is a primary battery. No reaction is reversible by using current. Current means electricity, I have right. So by supplying electricity, you can't reverse the reaction. Even I tried to reverse the reaction while I was a kid, but nothing happened, just burnt. So what is the output of this? How much current you are going to get? It will be very clearly written. How much it is? 1.1 volt for the battery. So the same thing what I was talking till now. This is the metal base. This is the brass cap. These are the washers or seals at pitch. So outer jacket is what the company's name is printed on. Inside it you will find the zinc container. Next a paper separated. In the center we have this carbon rod. This is the carbon rod, and this is completely by powder, black color powder. This black color powder is nothing but MnO2, manganese dioxide. Along with it a little amount of carbon powder and other chemicals are mixed. What are the other chemicals here? I said other chemicals simply. You should remember them. They are zinc chloride, ammonium chloride, water, and a little amount of starch. These are the other chemicals which are there along with MnO2, manganese oxide. So hope you are very thorough with this dry cell. This is the structure of dry cell, what we have to present in the examination point of view. Now we will have to give what are the important merits and demerits. Merits means uses. What are the uses? Where can we use this dry cell? And what is the importance of this dry cell? Dry cell is simply 10 rupees. But if your cell phone battery is having a problem, you will have to go for a higher prices. But 10 rupees, no company is going to give you a cell phone battery, right? It is the first one. It is very cheap. This is the first important positive point to be remembered. Why is dry cell still having a demand? Means it is cheap. This is cheap. The second one, it is used in flashlights, that is torchlights, transistor radios. So once upon a time we used to have them. Now we don't have. Next, calculators. Now we are using in calculators also button cells, watches, pacemakers. In all these things we use dry cell. Dry cell. So these are the merits. Very good. Next, what are the problems with this dry cell or demerits? Once the current is drawn rapidly, what happens? The voltage suddenly drops. If we suddenly draw the current rapidly, the voltage drops tremendously or suddenly. So it will be not show 1.1 volt. Instead of it, it will be suddenly decreased. Then what happens? The battery will become dead. So this is one of the problem. Next, the electrolyte, what I said, it is acidic in character because we are using zinc chloride, ammonium chloride, yes, strong acid and weak base salt. So what happens? It is acidic. Zinc is anodic problem, right? It is in anode. Zinc container easily dissolves on long standing. What happens? This acidic electrolyte dissolves the zinc rod also. So the zinc cap which we are having it in the surrounding may be dissolved by the electrolyte. So this is also one of the problem. That is the reason why once you put the batteries, insert the batteries into 4 or 5 batteries into a transistor radio and forget. If you don't use the radio for a long time, what happens? This electrolyte starts dissolving the zinc rod and it escapes from it and we get a foul smell from the radio. That is the reason why they always say once you use the battery, you should start using the device, right? So that is one of the demerits, right? This is all about the dry cell. So till now what we have discussed, the dry cell we have discussed. In the dry cell we have, what we have discussed till now. In the dry cell we said the construction of the dry cell. Later we have discussed about the reactions what are occurring here. So here what are the reactions occurring here? We have discussed here all the reactions. And what are the side reactions occurring here we have discussed. And then finally we came to the uses, importance of dry cell, and then we came to the demerits of dry cell. So till now we have discussed about a primary battery. What is a primary battery? Again you should remember this, primary cell or primary battery. So primary battery, once it is discharged, these reactions cannot be reversed and hence it should be thrown out. Only use and throw type.